HubSpot makes impossible growth impossibly easy for their customers. And here's the perfect example. Morehouse College needed to reach new students with fresh, engaging content. But with a massive 900-page website, even the tiniest updates took 30 minutes to publish. Breeze, HubSpot's collection of AI tools, helped them write and optimize their content in a fraction of the time. The results? 30% more page views, and visitors now spend 27% more time on their site. If you're ready for impossible growth like this, you can visit HubSpot.com.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, July 8th. I'm Mark Dent, here with Juliet, Bennett, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Today, we are talking about dupes. That is, dupe products. They provide comparable quality to big-name brands at cheaper prices, and they've contributed to some significantly declining business for Lululemon. So now the athleisure giant is doing something drastic to solve its dupe problem: suing Costco. We're going to talk about that, but first we'll give you the hits and headlines in today's tech and business news. Let's begin with big tech, maybe the biggest of tech, actually. Will there be a new TikTok? It's possible that the ongoing TikTok ban drama may resolve itself with a new separate app. That's because there's reportedly an agreement, according to the information, for a sale to non-Chinese investors in place, including Oracle. And this deal would leave ByteDance with a minority stake and involve a new version of the video platform that would come out on September 5th. President Trump's latest extension on the TikTok ban expires in mid-September. Speaking of the president, more tariff news dropped on Monday. Trump announced he'd sent letters to several countries warning them of new tariff rates by August 1st. These rates are set at 25% for Japan and South Korea and 40% for countries like South Africa and Malaysia. Originally, reciprocal tariffs of varying rates were scheduled to go into effect this Wednesday against America's trading partners. This tariff news sent stocks downward. The major indexes were down by about 1% as of Monday afternoon. Moving on to movie news. Jurassic World Rebirth pulled in $147.3 million in its North American opening weekend. Now, that's enough to be a summer hit, but it's less than previous entries in the franchise when accounting for its longer holiday weekend release, and also, if you account for inflation, Jurassic Park won forever. And speaking of weekends, in the UK, weekends could be getting longer. That is, if a new study has a large enough impact. This study tracked 17 UK companies that tested a 4-day work week. All 17 of them that tried the policy kept it in place. And of the 4 companies that shared revenue data, 3 saw revenue rise during the trial. And finally, let's end with some housing market numbers. According to the Wall Street Journal, via the National Association of Realtors, the number of first-time homebuyers last year clocked in at 1.1 million. That's about 400,000 less than in 2023 and roughly half of the historical norm. So we're talking some very low numbers. And judging by early estimates, 2025 could have even fewer first-time homebuyers. This trend does bode well for one group, however: landlords. The Wall Street Journal predicts rising rents in the near future.
Hey everybody, I've been listening to this great podcast lately. It's called Latinx in Power, hosted by Thaisa Fernandez, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So Latinx in Power is a podcast that features interviews with top-level executives, entrepreneurs, and innovators from Latin America, aiming to demystify the tech industry by providing listeners with an insider perspective and insights from Latin American leaders who have succeeded in their fields. A lot of great episodes on this one. My personal favorite recently was an episode with Isabel Alvarez, who is a graphic designer that designs cookbooks. She has 15 years of experience blending editorial design, branding, and experiential design. She really views design as a catalyst for meaningful social change, so I think this is a great episode to get you going with this show. You can listen to Latinx in Power wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, let's move on to the main story. Lululemon versus the dupes. Lululemon has a dupe problem, and it's going to relatively extreme measures to confront it. But first, Juliet, what is a dupe?
A dupe is a product that is an affordable version of a high-end product. So if you think of something like Drunk Elephant, right? That's like a high-end skincare line, or Tatcha, or like a really nice high-end fragrance that costs like $250 a bottle. A dupe is something that is very similar. It's made with similar ingredients. It smells the same. In the case of apparel, it would be something that has a similar design and is still of pretty high quality. They're different from counterfeits. A counterfeit is like, it's pretending to be a Coach purse. It's not a Coach purse. This is something that is not pretending to be the high-end thing, but it is a comparable version. It's much cheaper and it's generally of pretty good quality.
Yeah, and it seems like they're having at least a little bit of a moment on TikTok. It's not like an insanely viral trend, but it's getting some numbers on there.
Yeah, there were 320,000 videos tagged dupe as of May. Now, that doesn't include things that are specific brand dupes. So it wouldn't include something that says Drunk Elephant dupe, makeup dupe,
Right.
skincare dupe, fragrance dupe, whatever dupe. Those hashtags are not included. So there's probably actually a lot more, but they're just very specific. So, it's having a big moment. I think the reasons for that are pretty obvious. We've got a lot of consumers who are conscious about their spending. They're anti-consumerism. They're anti-capitalist. They want to save money, but they still want the higher quality. And they're done with sites like Shein and Temu, where, they're getting a lot of fast fashion that doesn't last long. So they want something better, but they're not willing to spend the big bucks.
The big bucks for something like Lululemon,
Right.
which sounds like it is having a pretty substantial problem with dupes. I was looking in at its stock price and it's down by roughly a third this year. So what's going on with them?
Yeah. And I'm not sure that that's entirely all dupes, but it definitely doesn't help. People are pulling back their budget in multiple sectors. A lot of places are seeing something sales. And at the same time, Lululemon does have a lot of competitors in the space, Alo, Vuori. Even if you're not looking at dupes, I think a lot of people are buying their workout gear from Target and places that are cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot is going on. But one of the biggest problems it's having right now, at least according to a lawsuit it recently filed, is that Costco has been selling significantly cheaper versions of its designs. So to give you an example of what the cost difference here is, a pair of Lululemon's ABC men's pants retails for about $130. But you can get a very similar pair of pants at Costco for about $20. There's also a half zip pullover that costs about $118. That's a scuba hoodie is what Lululemon calls it. But at Costco, a very similar pullover is $8. And I think there are a lot of people who would much rather spend $8 on a hoodie, and they do not care if it says Lululemon on it.
Oh, for sure. And it just seems that Costco is a great example of a company that, whether you want to call them dupes, exactly, but their Kirkland brand, I mean, they have just about everything you could ever want, when it comes to food, apparel, just sort of any type of miscellaneous good you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a Kirkland brand for it. So is there any way that this is like different, or that Lululemon might have an actual significant complaint here that isn't just like it's Kirkland doing a Kirkland thing?
So the points that Lululemon raises, they've got a couple good points. This is a 49-page complaint. And one of those pages contains this little gem, which is that Costco is actually using similar marketing language. So Tidewater Teal is a color that Lululemon uses, and that is the same color description for the Costco product. They couldn't even come up with a new color name. So I think that's pretty clear evidence.
And pretty lazy, come on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about what were you looking at when you're considering the design of this product. The other point that Lululemon raises is Kirkland and many third-party labels that various stores use, they actually are the name brand. That product is made in the same factory by the same company. You'll see a lot of TikTok dupe videos pointing that out. I watched one where this woman was shopping at Walmart, and she was pointing out that a lot of the food that was from their value brand was actually made by the name brand in the same factory and would taste exactly the same, had a lot of the same ingredients. It was pretty much the same thing. So that's something that happens, and that's something that Kirkland does. And a lot of people try to guess. An example would be like, this snack cookie was actually made by the same people who make Oreo. That would be an example. I'm not saying that that's true, but that would be an example of the speculation. With Lululemon, there actually was a reporter for Wirecutter who compared a pair of Costco's ABC men's pants to his Lululemon pants. And he actually thought that the construction was so similar that he contacted Lululemon and said, are you the creator of these pants? Do you make these pants for Costco, for the Kirkland brand? Lululemon does not. It's since been revealed that the manufacturers are like Danskin and Jockey and a lot of the lower cost brands that you would see at your department stores. But here's what's interesting about this. When he compared the two pair of pants, yes, they look the same. They are remarkably similar.
Right.
But he noted that a lot of the more thoughtful design elements that the Lululemon pair of pants have were missing from the Costco pants. And the fabric was different to the point where he found the Lululemon pants to be much more comfortable, have a lot more stretch, and also felt that the fabric was so good that he could wear those pants to work and nobody would be like, hey, are you wearing track pants to work? Like, he really professional looking, and he did not feel the same way about the Costco pants after, he compared them side by side. So I think there is some concern that Lululemon is actually making pants of a lesser quality.
Yeah.
So for them, a brand that's like, we're top of the line, we innovate a lot of our designs, everything is performance-based. I think there would be some concern that consumers are thinking, oh, they have like this knockoff version that maybe they make and you can get it at Kirkland for $8 and it's made by them, but it's actually not made by them. And at least according to this one review, which was very thoughtful, the knockoff is worse.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing to consider, that consumers might just be thinking, oh, well, Lululemon's just kind of making something a little bit less expensive, a little bit less quality for us, because that is what a lot of brands have done. There was a really interesting little note in this, New York Times story where Christian Dior was known for, making cheaper versions and giving them to other brands even. So, I mean, it goes back a long way. Okay, and those points that you just brought up also suggest that, Lululemon does have some real gripes here, some pretty significant complaints. But I take it that we wouldn't be having this conversation if there had been a lot of laws on the books that kind of make it hard to do dupes. But yet here we are, they're having to file a lawsuit. What do legal experts say about all this? Is there really any chance that things change?
Possibly. The New York Times talked to a legal expert who said that U.S. law is a little trickier than European law, especially when it comes to a garment's design. Protecting trademarks, logos, labels, that's a lot easier. If these garments had a logo on them that was suspiciously similar to Lululemon's, it might be easier. One of the jackets has a spider logo on it because it was made by a company called Spider. So there's pretty much no reason you would ever be confused. With a lot of these trademark cases, it's about customers are confused. They might think they're buying this, but they're really buying this. So, it's hard to say, but this is not the only dupe lawsuit in play right now. Deckers is actually suing Costco also. They are the parent company of UGG, and they are accusing Costco of selling a pretty much identical copy of an UGG slipper. So, I would be interested to see how this plays out in court, because right now, dupes is fun. Everyone loves dupes. They're all about it. People are clearly doing well making them. But, if there's some precedent here where it's not okay to copy a design, even if you are putting another logo on it and not calling it the same thing, then that might really take a bite out of this dupe culture that we're seeing on TikTok and Reddit. However, at the same time, I have noticed a lot of the posts pertaining to the dupes now are not just comparing them. They're people rushing out to Costco to hurry up and get them because the lawsuit has let them know that they exist and now they want them. So, I don't think it's going to stop people from buying them if they are available.
An onrush of dupes, and when it costs, roughly 1/10 the amount of regular Lululemon, it makes sense why that's happening right now. Okay, well, Juliet, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We have a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, please go get signed up at thehustle.co/email. And please follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily, and we'll see you tomorrow.
It's hard to remember now, but the internet used to be fun.
I can't believe how easy it is to surf the net. Surf's up.
On Long Shadow, Breaking the Internet, we'll trace how a tool that once fueled democracy
Opposition activists organized the march on Facebook.
became a weapon aimed at the very heart of it.
You're watching the unraveling of our democracy right now.
From Longlead and PRX, this is Long Shadow, Breaking the Internet. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. I mean, every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link? You don't want to sleep on this.